Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Kate here with another horse life video. In today's video though, we are going to be talking about specifically the future of horse life. There was recently a Q&A, which is what Eri does every month, and she talks about the future of the game and the things that she's also put into the game so far with her development team. In today's video, we'll be going over everything she talked about because there is a bunch of things from horse care to dungeons. So stay tuned in today's video as I'll be talking about everything you need to know for the future of horse life. I will also be in addition adding some of what Eri said through a recording, as I did record the whole thing just in case I needed to use it in the video. With that said though, let's go ahead and get right into it. So in the Q&A, she did start off talking about the past updates they did this month and how they affected the game, starting with like tier bosses and then the racing of course and everything in the between. She also did mention, before anything else, she did mention the taming method that they're going to be using for the Puritans, which I'll let you listen to and you guys can hear what she says about the taming method.
For this week, you guys know we have the Puritans and I'm very excited for them. I'm actually starting the floating island modeling right now, and Puritans introduce a brand new way to tame horses because they'll spawn flying in the air. You will have to fly to tame your Puritans.
The next big thing that she mentions is we are going to be getting a magnifying glass. Basically, this magnifying glass will be able to view other people's horses. You could also view wild horses with it. So with this magnifying glass, it will probably be able to show you the traits, the colors, and everything you really need to know about the horse. Kind of like how you can inspect them in the auction or how you can inspect them in the stalls. I'm not exactly sure how the magnifying glass is going to like officially work, but I do have an idea of it's probably going to be some sort of equipment you can equip, and then there'll be like that little thing that pops up where you can see the horse's information, kind of like you can if you hit inspect on the horses in stalls in auction, which I think is pretty unique and useful for the game, and I can't wait to see that in the game. She also mentions that they have the Stallion barn, which is right across from the market stalls that they have to work on, where you could basically put all of your male horses up for people to breed their female horses with and get possible babies. Then she also mentions co-breeding, which will possibly be something they're planning in the future. This is all stuff that they're planning to put in the future. They also want to do horse taming competitions, but they did say they want to put more rewards in the game until they want to actually do that. Then she goes on to say something which is very big for the game and is going to happen probably in 2 months or so, but I'll let you guys listen to it because it's a lot of information to kind of go over. So I'm going to let you listen to what she is saying.
We want to do a town overhaul. So we want the town to be a little bit more true to the lore of the game. You guys are basically in like a post-apocalyptic cottagecore Wild West style modern environment, so I think we want to display that a little bit better. We want to give you guys a horse hospital where you can go and like role play and, you know, get like medicine for your horse and like, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. And then we want to do a care barn where you can go and wash and pick your horse's feet. And you can do all of that. And why that's really exciting is because we want to introduce a new skill to the horse called trust, or like your bond. And you'll be able to bond with your horses, and it'll increase their breeding strength when breeding with another horse. So traits, size, eye color, all of that will have a stronger chance on that horse when you have a stronger bond with it. And that'll just help you be able to like really form a better connection with your horse, which I know a lot of people do want.
So yeah, we're going to be getting a brand new skill, which I think it's going to be a skill at least, and it's going to be basically a bond. So you'll be able to bond with your horses. She did mention that you will also be able to pet your horses in this update. Now, we don't know exactly when this update's going to be, but it sounds like it's a pretty big one that they want to do, so it's probably going to be in a few months or so. It's very exciting to hear that they're actually going to be adding a hospital as well as a care barn where you can basically pick the feet, brush the hooves, brush the coat, and everything in between to make it more realistic and also more interactive with the horses themselves. I can't wait to see that added into the game, as I feel like that will give the game a lot of life. We also will be getting a town overhaul like she said, which would be pretty cool to see, and I hope that maybe it would be a little bit bigger with a lot more buildings. That would look really cool. Later on in the stream, someone asked a question which she really liked and might add get into the town overhaul with the bonding skill is if the horse is bonded with you quite a bit and the level is pretty high for the bond, there's a chance that your horse will collect food for you when you're gone, and then will give it to you, like this horse collected an apple for you when you were gone and stuff like that. So that would be pretty cool if you were gone and you rejoin the game and the horse just collects an apple for you while you're gone or something around the sorts. The next big thing that she did talk about after that was dungeons. So as you know, the NPCs did get quests, but they said that the quests were actually for a future kind of feature, which would be dungeons. Dungeons will kind of be like their own little world, as she goes on to say. It says that you'll be able to go into the dungeon and kind of complete it by doing certain quests like clearing rubble, but being able to deliver certain things. And later on in the stream, she also did mention something else, which I think a lot of you will be happy to hear. For those that like the Kirin, she did say that around the time that the dungeon is going to be added, the Kirin is probably going to be added as well, as she wants to make the Kirin kind of like a fiery kind of element to the game. So with the dungeon being added, that is something that will possibly be with the game, will be the Kirins, which we have seen the model and the animations for such a long time. We just don't know when they're going to be adding it, but now we kind of have an idea of when the Kirin's going to be added. So once the dungeons start getting work and we see that, that means the Kirins are probably going to be released around that time, which is very exciting. There'll be a bunch of obstacles as well in these dungeons, and they'll basically be like a lot of the dungeons in other games that you have to complete, and once you do, you get like rewards and stuff like that. They also mentioned the possibility of different types of dungeons. They said magma and lava themed dungeons, so there's probably going to be multiple of them, and they're going to be different as well. One of the mini games she does want to add with these dungeons is horse corralling. Basically, there'll be a bunch of wild horses in the dungeon and you have to corral them around, and that's kind of going to be like a little mini game that they're planning to add as well. That is something really cool to see, and I can't wait to see the horse corralling as a new mini game. I don't know if it's going to be just in the dungeons or if it's going to also be in the world as well, but it'd be pretty unique to see that in the main world as well as the dungeons. So she goes on to talk about the lore, which I'll let you guys hear this as well because it is a good amount of information that I want you guys to hear, and it is pretty cool to see that they're going to be doing something different with Horse Life than they have done with all the other games lore wise, and they're also starting on the main story of Horse Life as they are getting a lot more into the lore, which I will be going over in a separate video as well, but that will be later on when I have more information on the lore. Here you go though, you guys can listen to what she says about the lore.
You guys know that Horse Life is very lore rich, so pretty soon we're going to start thinking about the main storyline of the game. That's going to give like super unique and really awesome custom made rewards, kind of like we're going to do this week for the Light Gold rewards. We're designing a super special horse that everybody is going to get their own kind of like custom variant of. So yeah, I'm very excited for the main storyline because I think Horse Life has one of the most like interesting lores of a lot of the Sonar Studios games, and it's going to be the first game that has a main story quest line that you guys are going to be able to do.
So she starts talking about horse clubs, and she's not sure exactly if they want to add in globally or where you guys can create your own clubs. Globally would mean that there would be random clubs you can join that other people will be in, or they will be able to create their own clubs, like anyone can create their own club and other people can join it. Honestly, I hope it's the one where people can create their own, so then there's kind of like a little unique variety in the game. They also did mention that there will be missions, like monthly or weekly missions that you guys can do, and with these horse clubs that they plan to do in the future, you'll be able to get unique rewards and unique horses from these missions that will be for the horse club. So the next big thing she talks about is events, like holiday events, Halloween, Christmas, stuff like that. She goes on to mention the fact that they are not going to be doing any events until Halloween. Halloween will be their first event. Now they're not sure if they want to add a skeleton horse because they did mention in the Q&A that it is very common to see a lot of the events events being a skeleton horse, so they might do something different for Halloween, which is totally okay with me, and I hope it's something really cool. They go on to talk about the events and how they are very particular and they don't know how to go about events right now, so we really don't have any information on how the events are gonna go because they want to do something different for the game, and they're kind of scared on the fact of they don't know what to do for the events just yet to make it kind of unique and make it enjoyable for people to play. They also did talk about the special horses because they do want to put in special horses for these events. They talked about how there will be an off season and an on season. So in these off and on seasons, if it is during the time of the season for the horse that does get published to the game, for instance, let's say they published a skeleton horse for Halloween. During Halloween, that horse will be able to breed and have a less amount of cooldown and it won't be ridiculous. But after the event, which will be like the off season, the horse will have a extremely long cooldown for its breeding time. So for instance, it might be like 3 hours on season, and then after that for the cooldowns it will probably be like 20 hours or something like that for the season on the cooldown. Kind of getting the grasp of the event horses or species that they're going to be adding to the game for holidays. I'm really excited to see how it's going to go, as they are putting some thought into the events, as they're not really just jumping into it. They're kind of thinking about how they want to go about things to make it different and unique than other games. With these events, they also did announce that there will be specific traits that will spawn only during those holidays. For example, ponies, gargoyles, unicorns, stuff like that will be able to spawn with a specific trait. For example, if it is Halloween and there's a skeleton trait, gargoyles will be able to spawn with a trait of like skeleton on its body as a pattern basically. That would be pretty cool to see, and it'll only be available during those events or holidays where you'll only be able to see those traits spawn in the wild when that holiday is going on. I can't wait to see that. Honestly, it's gonna look amazing, and I wonder what those kind of traits are gonna look like other than obviously a skeleton, but like Christmas or something like that. That would look really cool, and I can't wait to see those type of things. So she goes on to talk about the economy of the game as well, as they are really focused on that. I'll let you listen to what she has to say because I really don't want to talk a lot about the economy of this game, and it's a lot of wording that she does put into it, so I'll let you guys listen to that by yourselves.
What's our opinion with the game economy? It's really annoying to farm for hours and killing the fun. So what's our opinion in general? So my opinion right now on our game analytics, I can see how much money people are making and I can see how much money people are spending. I can basically see what everybody's doing at all times. After 24 hours, I can see how you guys are interacting with the game, and I'm literally pulling it up right now. Just to tell you that right now the economy is it's leaning more towards you guys, the players. So in 1 week, you guys in total accumulate 3.4 billion coins, and at the other hand of that, you guys spend about 2.8 billion coins. So I don't know, that's like 20%, 30, 40% of a difference. So we want those numbers to be close together as much as possible. Right now, you guys are in a surplus of making money. So if we add more ways for you guys to earn money in the game, we're going to break the economy even further. So that's why we're keeping the economy how it is right now. We just honestly need more valuable things for you guys to spend your coins on. And yeah, right now the economy is pretty healthy, since you can only sell your horses. We have quite a lot of control on the economy right now. So we just need to keep balancing that, give you guys valuable things to spend your coins on. And then if we can bring those numbers back together, there is a chance that we can give more ways for you guys to make money that isn't just selling horses.
So they go on talking about the lore again afterwards, and they talk about how there's going to be chapters to the game. If you're very familiar with, for example, some of the games on Roblox that are mainly just like storyline games, they're not going to make it so the game's a full-on storyline game. They're going to have chapters in which you can interact and see the story of the game, and then later on they're going to be adding new chapters and everything like that. So you basically be able to go around and complete missions and everything with these chapters and these stories storylines, which are optional. I'm pretty sure it won't make the game heavily on just the storyline. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of thing that you'll have to complete with the storyline in order to do certain things in the future, possibly. I do not know because they didn't mention that, but most of the time there's something like that in between. So that'd be pretty cool, is if there's something you can unlock by doing the storylines to kind of make it so people will interact with the story itself. I can't wait to see them do that because they haven't done that with any of their other games before, and it sounds very exciting as they want to add cutscenes and everything in between, so it's going to be very cool to see. She did mention that in the future of this game, when they have time and they're not very chaotic with new species coming out and everything, that they will be adding reins to bridles. As you know, the game does not have any bridles reins. Basically, a rein is like the little string or the rope that is going from the bridle to the hand, if you do not know what that is. And basically in the future, we will be getting reins into the game. They did say that, as well as getting some proper animations for the walking, running, and everything while being on the horse. As you know, it kind of looks like a stick figure just sitting on the horse, but very soon, when they have time and it's less chaotic, we will be getting reins as well as animations for the people or the avatars on the horse to make it look more realistic. They're going to be adding a bunch of those animations soon, so I'm very excited that they're actually going to be adding in those little details and making sure that they pay attention basically to the little details that make the game the game. So they did mention something for those who have special badges, kind of like me as a content creator or other people. I'm not exactly sure what other roles other than content creators, but they did mention the fact that they do want to give some sort of thing to those content creators, to the people with special badges like artists, probably stuff like that. They did mention fantasy wing potions, as they don't want them to completely fade out and they want some sort of way to make them rare but not rare at the same time. So they might be doing in the future where they'll be giving special badges, these fantasy wing potions that they can give out to other people. So for instance, content creators would be able to do giveaways of these fantasy wing potions and all the sorts in between. There might be different things they'll give content creators or artists along the way other than just fantasy potions, but this is what they have told us so far in this Q&A, and they haven't really said much else. Honestly, if we just get fantasy potions, that is fine by me, because then I'll be able to give them away to people, and it's a very smart idea to make it so that the potions are rare, but they're not completely gone, as they will eventually run out because there's not a lot of fantasy potions. So then she goes to talk about horse species, which I will actually let you guys listen into, as we already have kind of a little sneak peek of our next horse species after the Puritan. We also have another one that she did talk about in the beginning of when she's talking about it, but I'll let you guys go ahead and listen.
The feline horse is still on the table. We already picked our horse for next month, which you guys will get to see next week. A hint. Okay, I won't give you a hint because we made up this horse species, but what we used for inspiration was an Arabian and an elf. So an elven, when you think of elf, like elf ears, and then like an Arabian horse anatomy is what we're using to base this horse off of. Hopefully that doesn't reveal too much information, but yes, Stud is the creator of this species. And then we have a super secret second horse that I commissioned from one of our own community members. And that horse will stay super secret. So I will not be revealing that horse until it's close to being done.
So they go on to talk about accessories, and someone asks the question of will you be able to equip 2 of the accessories from the same slot. For example, a horse having 2 hats on at one time. They did say this is a possibility in the future. They just have to look at the game and see how many people are dressing up their horses, because if there's too many people dressing up their horses, it could cause a ton of lag because of how many of the spaces are being taken up by those accessories. So it is a possibility we will be getting extra slots to be able to equip accessories, then more than one, which is pretty exciting, as there's some hats that you could probably put on there that look like they would be able to basically just fit that theme. So another one of the questions was asked during the Q&R, which a lot of people are talking about and they don't know the answer to, which I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about it for you guys as they did answer it in the Q&R. They did ask if you'll be able to add two-headed like horses or two tails or an extra limb of or extra pair of like horse legs to the horse itself, and they cannot do that unfortunately because they would have to go back to the bone structure of the actual horse and kind of add that in, which is a ton of work and extra stuff, and that would be kind of a little bit harder for them to do. But they did say it's a possibility to have like extra eyes or something of the sorts that don't really move around on the horse when the animation's running. So for example, limbs would not be an option to add extra to because that is a lot of work adding more bone structure to the actual bone roots themselves to the horses. I know that might not sound very confusing for some people, but it's basically it would be a lot of extra work if they were to add extra limbs to the horses themselves. It's a possibility though, but they do not know if they're going to do that for sure. So we also got some of these announcements where basically in Christmas, when the holiday is happening or the event is happening for Christmas, we will be getting reindeer as a species. They also did talk about a mutation that basically if a horse does not have wings, they will still be able to fly, and this mutation will basically have like little clouds under the feet, kind of like reindeer do in a lot of the movies, where they can basically just walk on the air. I think this mutation is probably going to be pretty rare, and you'll probably only see it around Christmas time, especially on reindeers. And this is a possibility. It's not like official or anything. This is just what they said in the Q&R, and that is going to be pretty exciting to see though if that is the case in the future. They also did talk about another mutation they're possibly going to be adding, which is the force field material. It's basically what you see on the bosses when they're kind of see-through. That is going to be a possible mutation in the future, kind of like glow horses. It's going to have like a little force field material that you'll be able to kind of see through the horses. This is a possibility in the future that they've been talking about, and that would be pretty cool to see on horses, as well as pretty weird if it's on certain parts, because then you'll be able to see the eyeballs. But that is basically everything that was covered in this Q&A. I will probably do these monthly, as they do these monthly, where they basically just talk about the future of the game and also the past updates and everything. I'll probably do videos like this if you guys want me to. I'm super excited for the future of this game, and hearing what they have planned just makes me even more excited. Let me know what you guys are excited for in the future the most in the comments below. With that said though, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!